Aloha and good afternoon, everyone. It is now 2:46 p.m. on Tuesday, May 21st, 2024, and I call the meeting on the Committee of Transportation to order. I'd like to welcome the committee members who are present here in the chamber. Committee Vice Chair Cordero, Council Members Kia'aina and Okimoto. Council Member Tupola is excused today, and we're also joined by Council Chair Waters. Pursuant to Hawaii Revised Statute, Section 92-3.7, this meeting will be conducted as a remote meeting by interactive conference technology with the following procedures in effect for the meeting. Members of the public will be allowed to provide oral testimony in person or in the chamber or remotely on all items on the agenda. When each item is taken up, before testifying, each person shall state their name for the record and will be limited to a 1-minute presentation on each item. Persons who register to testify in person will be called upon first. When your name is called, please proceed to the podium and press the button at the base of the microphone. When the timer goes off, please conclude your remarks promptly. I'll then allow persons who have not registered an opportunity to offer testimony. Once in-person testimony has concluded, I'll proceed to the remote testifiers. When I call your name or the last 3 digits of your phone number, please follow the prompts to unmute. When the timer on the screen reaches 0, please conclude your remarks promptly. HRS Section 92-3.7 requires that all votes at remote meetings be conducted as a roll call unless unanimous. Therefore, I will first call for objections, and if there are any, I'll call for a roll call vote. Written testimonies, including the testifier's address, email address, and phone number, will be available to the public as described on the posted agenda. As a courtesy, please turn off all cell phones for the duration of this meeting. Thank you. Moving on to agenda item number 1, this is Resolution 24-131. This resolution will approve the Department of Transportation Services updated agency rail safety plan for rail operations required by 49 Code of Federal Regulations, Parts 673 and 674, and the Hawaii Department of Transportation Program Standards and Procedures prior to its submission to the Federal Transit Administration. We have with us, Patrick Priester from the Department of Transportation Services.
Aloha, Chair, Vice Chair, committee members. Again, Patrick Priester, Director of Rapid Transit, representing the Department of Transportation Services. Just a little background on this request. We are seeking the committee's approval of the agency rail safety plan. Ultimately, the trigger for this update goes back a little bit to the bipartisan infrastructure law and also some directives that were made by FTA. For the Hawaii Department of Transportation, who serves as our state safety oversight agency, to implement a risk-based inspection program. The department has worked collaboratively and collectively with all of the key stakeholders, which include HDOT, Joint Labor Management Safety Committee, some of our lead operations and maintenance contractors. We have received conditional approval from HDOT and will receive full approval once the plan is approved by the committee. So open to answer any questions that members may have.
Members, any questions? I just have one question. If you could summarize the changes between last year's proposal and this year's proposal, are the changes voluminous in nature? Are they fairly minor? Yeah,
they're targeted and focused. Mainly, again, the State Safety Oversight Agency now has a requirement to do risk-based inspections, which means they need to have access, they need to be authorized on site, they need to be able to conduct those inspections with or without advance notice. So we needed to make sure we accounted for that in our plan. We also just organized that along with our internal audit activities along the 4 pillars of the safety management system.
Okay, thank you. Members, any other questions? I'd also like to welcome Councilmember Wire to the committee. Councilmember Cordero.
Thank you. My question is in relation to the hazard tracking log. I know that there's a requirement of what type of risk or occurrence would be considered going into the log itself. Where then would the rest of the incidents who don't meet that criteria then are kept into like an incident report?
Yeah, so there's various tracking mechanisms. The hazard tracking log is one of those. I guess examples that could go on the hazard tracking log would be a tripping hazard. It could be a lighting issue. Any number of hazards similar to what you would experience just in your day-to-day life. So in addition to the hazard tracking log, there's also corrective action plan log. We also track accidents, incidents, and occurrences. And all of that data and information is reviewed with all stakeholders, including HDOT, on a monthly basis.
Okay, thank you. That was going to be my question, my next question. So when it's reported to HDOT or whomever, other transportation agencies on a monthly basis, do they then track the progress of addressing the possible hazard or incident?
Yes.
And that's, once again, a monthly basis.
It depends on the particular area, but I would say, generally speaking, yes, on a monthly basis.
Okay, understood. That's good to know. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, members. Any other questions? Okay. Seeing none, at this time we'll proceed with testimony. Clerks, do we have any registered testifiers or anyone standing by in the chamber? I see one. Angela Melody Young, please proceed.
Aloha, Angela Melody Young, testifying on behalf of CARES in strong support. So this resolution will make sure that the city's HART train is operating safely and at federal standards, and it should go by what the federal law says. And the federal law says, according to the United States Code, the Federal Transit Administration has adopted the principles and methods of safety management systems as a basis for enhancing the safety of public transportation in the United States. FTA will follow the principles and methods in its development of rules, regulations, policies, best practices, and technical assistance administered under the authority of the Chapter 49 of the United States Code. This sets standards for the Public Transportation Agency Safety Plan, which will be responsive to FTA's Public Transportation Safety Program and reflects the specific safety objectives, standards each transit office focuses on. And so the safety plan will integrate principles and methods tailored to the size, complexity, and scope of the public transportation system and the environment in which it operates. So that's very good to go by the federal standards. And also, there should be concerns about the environmental concerns, which is also a federal standard for the HART train.
Thank you. Members, any questions for the testifier? Okay, seeing none, clerks, do we have any remote testifiers registered or standing by?
Chair, there are none.
Okay. Members, that being the case, we are in discussion. Any discussion before my recommendation? Hearing none, the chair recommends a resolution 24-131 be reported out for adoption. Any objections, reservations? Okay, hearing none, so ordered. We'll move on to agenda item number 2. This is Bill 9 of 2024. This bill will amend Chapter 36 ROH to repeal certain obsolete or unnecessary provisions relating to U-Drive, motor vehicles, and tour services. Members, I introduced this bill back in February. It deals with 2 provisions that have been rendered obsolete. One by the state taking over regulation of rental cars in the 80s, and then the other by the adoption of taximeter policies in the 1950s. As you'll see in the tour services section, no one in their right mind is going to drive from Waikiki to the top of the Pali Lookout for $6 these days. So we have with us from the Department of Customer Services, William Trujillo.
Good afternoon. William Trujillo, Program Administrator for Division of Motor Vehicle Licensing and Permits from Department of Customer Services. The department is supportive of this measure, and I stand by for any questions. Thank you.
Okay. Members, any questions? Okay, hearing none, thank you. We'll now turn to testimony. Is there anyone here in the chamber who'd like to testify, or anyone registered here in the chamber?
Chair, there are none.
Hearing none, and clerks, do we have any remote testifiers, either registered or standing by?
Chair, there are none.
Okay. Hearing none, we're in discussion. Members, any discussion on this bill? Okay. Hearing none, the chair recommends Bill 9 of 2024 be reported out for passage on second reading and scheduling of a public hearing. Any objections or reservations? Hearing none, so ordered. Well, this was a very quick meeting. Thanks, everyone. There being no further business, this meeting is adjourned. It's 2:57. Thanks.